Hi everyone. So now I am ready to put my sources together in terms of trying to organize my information. And how I'm going to do that is I'm simply just going to start going through my note cards and seeing what patterns of information are emerging. What did I actually do? So this one's about hydrogen vehicles. This one says disadvantage. This one's talking about fuel cell, but it also says advantage. Types of fuel cells, I'm going to put that as a new thing. Fuel cells and how they work, that's going to go with the fuel cells. Actually, I might actually put this fuel cell advantage with the fuel cell grouping, because that might be something that I'll work on later. Various types of cells, that's another one I'm going to put in there. Now, fuel cells and the history. Okay, history I want to put somewhere else. Hydrogen vehicles, I'm going to put back up here in this pile. Fuel cells advantage. Okay, so I'm going to go back and look at this pile right here. Okay, I've got another fuel cell advantage. This one's from source 3. This is from source 1. Okay, I'm going to start a fuel cell advantage pile. So I'm going to put those right there. Oh, I've got another disadvantage, which is going to go to my pile there. Another disadvantage. Now this one's talking about fuel cell chemical process. I'm going to guess that has to do with how they work. So I'm going to put that in that pile right there. Who discovered it? That's got to do with history. Back to hydrogen vehicles. Fuel cell uses. That's kind of a new one. I'm going to put that in a pile all by itself. Advantage, fuel cells. So this looks like it's describing the fuel cell. So I'm going to put it in the pile there. This looks like another one, how they work. How they work. Batteries was like that one, how it works. Geothermal, okay, so this is a disadvantage. I'm going to put down there how it works. Another disadvantage. Advantage. Hydrogen fuel. This is kind of more example stuff and maybe how it works. So I'm going to put that there. And what is hydrogen? That's going to be more along the lines of how it works. Hydrogen from algae. Well, that's kind of an interesting one. I'm not sure how that's going to fit. So I'm going to put it up here with the fuel cell uses. I'm not 100% sure about this. This one's talking about fossil fuels. And I know I need to have some information about fossil fuels in my introduction, so I'm going to go ahead and put that in a section by itself. Hydrogen by mass when compared to gasoline is 3 times the amount of energy. That sounds like an advantage to me. So basically I'm just going to keep going through here and moving my my index cards and sorting them by my different piles. Okay, so now what I've done is I have several different piles here. I don't know if you can see this. Alright, so I've got one that's talking about fossil fuels. I have two, one that's talking about hydrogen from algae, and then fuel cell uses, which this one might have something to do with it. This one right now is really an outlier. I don't know what I'm going to do with that, if anything. I have quite a few on hydrogen vehicles, so that might be something I want to think about. Fuel cells, who discovered it, the history of it. I really don't have as much on this as I thought I might. This might be something I might need to go back and get more information on, because I think it is important to know who discovered it. I have a lot that have to do with the actual, hydrogen cells, or the fuel cells themselves. So this is quite a big pile here. I have an advantage pile here, and I have a disadvantage pile right here. So I think I'm going to go ahead and set these off to the side right now. And then the various different cell types. So this actually could probably go back in this pile here. So right now I'm just going to focus on this pile. So I'm looking at various types. This is just talking about hydrogen in general. I'm going to see what I have. Energy of hydrogen. So light gas. Hydrogen fuel, which is kind of its own little pile. How it works. Now this is talking about a fuel cell. So I'm going to put a fuel cell here. Fuel cell. These are all about how fuel cells work. And this is talking about the different parts of the fuel cell, earliest fuel cells. Okay, so this is, and these are different types of fuel cells. Okay, so I have all these different ones. If you notice, my sources are now mixed up. I've got one from source 4, I've got source 1, got source 3. So I've clearly got information from different sources, all having to do with the types of, or the fuel cells themselves. So at this point, I can pretty much say I've got enough information to write a paragraph about fuel cells.